Today on TLC Live, border crisis is still leading the headlines, and we are honored to have Congressman Tony Gonzales as our special guest, as he is calling on the urgent need for federal assistance in curbing the surge of migrant crossings. Also, Leo Vasquez, chair of the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, regarding the impact of the border crisis on housing availability. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TLC Live. I'm Andrea Gomez.
And I am Bobby Everly filling in for Orlando this weekend or today, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, Happy New Year, Bobby. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. We've got a lot of things coming up, right? We got the new year. We'll be teaching in a few weeks together, but I really appreciate the call. And I always love getting down here. And what an issue that we have to talk about today. And with our two guests, I know we're going to get a lot of information for the viewers, but I'm excited to learn what's going on too.
So, what is going on with you? Let's talk about a little bit New
Sure.
Year and
Yeah.
what is everything in Fort Bend County.
Well, it's been great. I'm the county chairman for Fort Bend County, and we've been in the candidate recruitment mode and candidate filing mode is what really just finished out our year. So all of those people that are interested in running for races, whether they know that they're Republican and they want to make a difference in running for a judge or running for sheriff, different item or offices that are on the ballot during that candidate filing, that's when they step forward and they sign their application and we review it. And now we've got our slate of candidates. And those will be the candidates that battle things out in our March 5th primary to determine which Republican will then take on the Democrat. So a lot of things we were doing there. I'm continuing, my Republican strategy media training and commentary on my show. I just got back from New York doing Newsmax, and that was a lot of fun as the special guest talking about the border, talking about Bidenomics and the Middle East and a host of other things. But I'm glad to be home, and I'm glad to be here because I've always loved this show, and like I said, it's great to be back.
And talking about media training,
Hmm.
we have our Leadership Latino class coming up at the end of January. Bobby, that we always, you do your part in media and I do my part in media.
Right.
And we help the future candidates to navigate the
The,
media that is not easy,
no, right.
because these days we not only have the traditional media, but we also have the social media, streaming platforms, and so many platforms that they will be exposed. How
Exactly.
to not only navigate them, but also what to expect when media or the reporters come to you, and how to sell yourself, how to always be present in the media, not only because you are a candidate, but also because you have an expertise on something, and that will give you exposure.
That's right. That's right. And you hit the nail on the head as far as how things have changed with social media because, I think candidates in the old days, they would get nervous, but they'd get prepared for these press conferences, talking to the media, microphones there. But now anyone with a cell phone can start videoing them and asking them questions on the spot. And so what do you do? How's the best way to answer the question? And when I say that, I don't mean how do you avoid their question or evade, but take their question, know what you want to say as a candidate, what needs to be said so that people get to know you, get to know how to contact you while you're answering the question, how to look good on camera, and know about the lighting and the proper perspective and where you're sitting in your frame to how to deliver the best you that you can do in these limited sound bites. And so I can't wait to get together and do that again at the end of the month. I'm sure you'll be plugging it some more during the show, but yeah, it's a lot of fun, and candidates can really use that type of thing because I know when people want to step forward and run for office, they do it because they have a platform. There's issues that they are concerned about, or they see something going wrong with government. They want to make a change. They want to make a difference, and so they go out there. But then after the fact, it's like, oh, well, wait, now I need to learn about fundraising, or I need to learn about campaign rules and what I can and can't put on a sign. And when I start making ads or when I start putting out a press release, I don't have experience doing that. So the Leadership Latino, this campaign boot camp, is all about doing that and getting the candidates prepared and learning those basics so that they can focus on their message and their beliefs and getting it out in a way that's most effective.
And you know what, Bobby, something that very important that you said, everybody with a phone can come to you and start asking you question and interviewing you. But not only that, anybody with a phone has the ability to record everything that you're doing without even asking you anything. Especially the Texas is a one way.
That's right.
Is a one-way state, so meaning that somebody with a phone can record you without even telling you, and then send that to the media and use it against you. So it's in California, it's different. It's a two-way
Right.
state, so meaning that you have to ask for permission
Right.
to record the person, either voice or video. But here in Texas, not. So that's the big difference. So it's not only to be prepared on camera, not only to be prepared for anybody to come and ask you questions with the cell phone, but also to be prepared that you're gonna have eyes everywhere. So these days with the technology, the game changed.
Hmm.
So anybody can record you, not only with the phone, but surveillance cameras.
That's right.
You know, you are on the public eye
Right.
constantly,
They're
everywhere,
yeah, that's right.
not
They're
just with the
everywhere.
media.
And I like what you said, yeah, because you could think that again as a candidate, you're so focused on your message and everything. You might have a meeting of volunteers and
Hmm.
you start talking and you start getting into campaign operations or results of fundraising and everything, and little do you know someone's recording you. And then
Exactly.
that's out, to your political enemies or whatever it is. You have to be careful with what you're saying. And especially when you have the opportunity, when you know it's coming, you want to make the most of that. And that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. So, Leadership Latino is coming up at the end of January. It's like pretty much in
Yeah.
less than 2 weeks, I
Yeah.
guess,
Right. Right.
because
Right.
it's the last weekend of January. It's going to be on a Friday and Saturday. And I don't have the last,
20, 26 and 27.
26 and 27?
Yeah, I believe so.
26 and 27. If you're coming from out of Houston, because the class is going to be here in Houston, and if you're seeking to run for office, or you're looking to help in any campaign for any candidate in your area or in your city and your district or precinct, so we're helping you at no cost. We're not charging for that class. We're not charging for anything. As a matter of fact, we're helping you also with the cost of hotels, so you don't have to pay for a hotel. And we also gonna give you up to $200 for transportation, meaning that if you're driving from the city that you're coming from, we're gonna cover $200. That is gonna cover gas. Or if you're planning to fly, we're gonna cover up to $200. So you will have to pay a little bit of a portion of the flight. But the most important thing is the information that you're gonna get. You're gonna have experts in different areas in politics. We're gonna help you to navigate the system, the politics, the law from A to Z, how to run for office, but also how to help in campaigns. And our part with Bobby is the media part, which is these days is a very complex,
It is. It
it's a
is.
very complex
Right.
world.
That's true. I mean, dealing with reporters, knowing their questions, knowing how in a limited time how to pack that is with as much information, not only on the particular subject, but how to get the vital information out about you so that people could say, "Hey, I like what that guy said in 15 seconds. Let's find out more." And all of that so that you can make a difference and so that you can be effective as Andrea said too, not only as the candidate, but the campaign staff. This Leadership Latino Boot Camp has many, many tools for campaign staff leaders, campaign managers, communications directors, finance chairs, so that you can learn and help your candidate be as effective as he or she can be.
And as we start our show, so Bobby, in the recent weeks, the headlines have been dominated by the escalating situation at the border with the
That's right.
immigrants, with the illegal immigrants. This open border policy with this current administration It's affecting not only the border, it's affecting the entire country. It's affecting the taxpayers, health system, the detention centers, schools, housing. I cannot, I mean, name one aspect that it haven't been
Right.
impact with this border crisis that we're living right now in the United States.
That's right. It's the worst it has ever been, historic levels. And our guests will get into some of the numbers, so I don't want to reveal anything yet. I'm interested to hear what they have to say. But we've never seen anything like this, and it is a conscious effort to flood the country, and we have to do something about it. We've never seen these, but yeah, the economic impact, the educational impact, the national security impact, those every aspect of our daily lives is being affected, and especially for people at the border, but all around the United States. Now we see in cities that there's even Democrats in these cities
Yeah,
protesting because their tax dollars are going to people that don't
exactly.
pay taxes, and so they're finally realizing a little bit on what's going on. But we've got to do something about it because it is a national security threat, and it's a threat to the American way of life and American culture, which the left loves to push to the side. And if they can defeat the United States, they win, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And that's why we have the honor to have on TLC Live today Congressman Tony Gonzales. Um, I've been seeing him. I've been seeing you, Congressman, all over the news, probably for the last 6, 8 months. But the last month, it's been like every single day we've been seeing you fighting for this. And you are here from Texas, representing Texas, and we have an honor to have you today explaining to us the situation. What are you doing in the Congress level, and what have done, what haven't have done? So welcome to TLC Live, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, Adriana and Bobby. Um, a big part in life is showing up, and you have to constantly show up, and you have to have the will. My grandfather always said, you need to have the ganas, the will to be able to fight through adversity and deliver. So showing up is half the battle. It's the reason why we're so vocal on what is happening, and I do my absolute best to not spin it politically one way or another. You don't have to. Just shine a light on the truth and let the truth go. Does this look orderly and humane to you? In the same breath, I'm an advocate. I'm a proponent of legal immigration. I'm a proponent of those that want to come and seek and live the American dream and do all those wonderful things, have a better life for their families. All that is wonderful. What is happening at the border is none of that. What is happening at the border right now is chaos. What is happening is you have a Biden administration that is encouraging folks to do it illegally and encouraging folks to break the law, and those that are trying to do it the right way are getting put in the back of the line. And this is, I think, why so many Americans are frustrated. It's not just along the border, which I represent a large part of. It's all of America that's going, wait a second here. I'm following the rules. I'm going to work. I'm paying my taxes. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do, and I'm falling further and further behind in life. What about me? I was in so my district is 823 miles of the southern border, 2/3 of the Texas-Mexico border, 42% of the overall southern border. Places like Eagle Pass that nobody knew existed 3 years ago. Places like Uvalde that nobody knew existed before the school shooting that happened a year and a half ago. Places like El Paso and San Antonio, where I live, but we're at the forefront of this. These are images of October 20th, which I was there on the ground. Once again, showing up matters. There were 4,000 people coming over illegally a day, which is just in this one sector, which is astronomical. There were 12,000 people in custody. There was no end in sight. And what the administration does is they shut down the bridges first, and then they shut down the railway. So imagine you live along the border and you have family members. You're a U.S. citizen, but you travel to Piedras or you travel to Juarez or all these, these communities, as we well know, they're really one community. Just half of it is in Mexico, half of it is in the United States. And imagine you're trying to do it the right way, but you're getting punished, and that bridge is shut down. But meanwhile, under the bridge is wide open, and they're getting rewarded. And so in Eagle Pass, it's the holidays, and you had people waiting 15 hours in line. Nothing upsets somebody more than waiting in a line to travel somewhere. 15 hours. So that was an issue. They'd shut the railway down. In previous times, once you shut the railway down, Mexico says, yeah, all right, okay, now they're being serious. They kind of say uncle, and they give, and they help alleviate it. Well, that railway had been shut down for 5 days, and the numbers were still increasing. So I do a TV hit, and I basically go, look at what's happening behind me, and we need help. I kind of send an SOS, if you will. I asked Speaker Johnson. I had asked Minority Leader Jeffries. I asked Majority Leader Schumer, Minority Leader in the Senate McConnell. Basically, this letter that says, "Hey, our district's getting overrun, and we need help. Today it's us. Tomorrow it's you." The only one that responded was Mike Johnson, and I hosted him 14 days later in Eagle Pass with it was a total of 64 members of Congress, the largest codel that had ever happened. And then all of a sudden, that day there was nothing. I mean, it was as if the cartels turned it on and turned it off, because that's exactly what happened. So I'll stop and I'll just say showing up matters. And yes, long term, we need policy. We need the administration to enforce the policies that are on the books. That's the secret sauce. But in the meantime, we have to continue to show up and hold this administration accountable. We can't let this be the new normal.
Congressman Gonzales, thank you for joining the program. Really appreciate it. I want to turn a little bit to the political angle because CBS just came out with a new poll that shows that, I mean, the numbers keep rising, but in this particular poll, you now have 75% of the American people, those polled, think that the border is either a crisis or very serious. 75%. So will you anticipate now, say between now and election day in November, that moves any of the Democrats on the House side to work with you guys? Because that is there's that means there's people concerned in every district, no matter what, if it's a blue or a red. So how do you see the politics working out, given that this has gotten to be a crisis level in the minds of so many more Americans?
That's exactly what I'm starting to see. More Democrats reach out, more Democrats willing to understand the issue, and I'm looking for solutions. Look, the politics in this is very lucrative on all sides. It's very lucrative to go, oh, look what Joe Biden is doing to our country, and that gets our Republican base fired up and upset and going. And then on the other side, oh, well, look at those Republicans. They want to deny, these migrants that are fleeing very, very desperate situations, and that gets their side riled up. I have no interest in any of that. I just want our lives. I want people in America to be safe. What I've been saying is, what about us? What about us that live here? And people are so upset. I'll give you an example. I'll weave in Uvalde. After the school shooting in Uvalde happened, people don't realize there's so many high-speed chases going through our small towns. Our schools are going into lockdown. So imagine you're a parent that you lost a child in that school shooting, and the next year, and you have three other children, and they're going to school, and you get a text message that your school's going into lockdown. You're going to be upset. The Tambunga family. It was a grandmother and her 7-year-old daughter. They were coming back from Dairy Queen having ice cream at a play date, and they get a smuggler crashes into them and kill them both. There are more and more personal stories of people that have been impacted by it. Also, the fentanyl that is killing Americans all over the country. Once again, people have a personal story, and they're saying, yeah, enough. I've had enough. In my district in particular, we want change, and it's a predominantly Hispanic district. I want a very swing, kind of middle of the road kind of district, and I'm seeing more and more lifelong Democrats saying, you know what, Tony, I've had enough. I just want you to come up with a solution, meaningful solutions. And I do think there's an opportunity for us in Congress to do that if we have the political will to get it done.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on the recent visit of the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas to Eagle Pass?
Yeah, he's visited several times, and every time he visits, it seems like things get worse. And you know what? We beat up Mayorkas a lot. He is the easiest person. He's like a piñata, right? We just bam, you can't miss, right? It's a piñata without a rope. Like you just cannot miss, right? But when you start to peel the onion back, it's much deeper than just him. And oh, by the way, the administration loves him. They love him because he's out there taking all the blunt of the blows for everyone. He is the shiny object that everyone's talking, and you don't talk about some of these other positions and their jobs and their roles. Hey, what about HHS? What are they doing to protect the children? The very first, I've visited so many places over the last 3 years. You had mentioned how I'm on TV a lot. I'll go on conservative networks, I'll go on liberal networks, you name it, and I will deliver the same message because I want people to see and understand what's happening. The very first facility I visited 3 years ago was an unaccompanied children facility in Carrizo Springs in my district. And when I visited there, I'm talking to all these kids and I'm going, where are you going? Well, I'm going to New York. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Denver. I'm going to Boston. Who are you going with? I'm going to visit a tío, a tío, a tío, a tío. Everyone was going to visit their uncle. And so it's very systematic. And I started thinking, I'm going, you're not visiting your tío. But what about these kids? Take away their legal status for a second. I'm a father of six. Just view it through the lens of innocent children. Who is protecting them? Who is their voice? Who is, and this is a part where the administration is not doing its part in any of it. And once again, why I say the illegal part only creates more chaos, only puts more people. A lot of these folks have gone through hell to get here, but that hell is just beginning if there are no advocates in place for them once they get released into our country.
Congressman, you talked about, some of the reaction of the citizens down there. What about the law enforcement, Border Patrol agents who are hired to do this job? But I mean, the numbers that we're seeing are unprecedented. What's their viewpoint? What are they seeing out there, and what do they need to get the job done?
In many cases, Border Patrol is no longer in the fight. They've been taken out of the fight intentionally. And so then who fills that gap? Who fills that gap are the sheriffs and the local police officers, which means they're no longer patrolling their own communities. They're no longer taking care of that. They're worried about all these illegal migrants that are coming over and the high speed chases and everything else that goes with that. I'll go back to the visit I had with Speaker Johnson and so many of my colleagues. 2 weeks prior to that, December 20th, I'm on the ground. There's 12,000 people there. Every single Border Patrol agent in that sector was there in Eagle Pass. We had passed checkpoints in Uvalde that said "Pásale," well, come on through, and it's just madness, right? And so, fast forward 2 weeks, and there were zero Border Patrol agents in the field. Fast forward 2 weeks, I bring the largest border delegation in history, come down there, and all of a sudden the numbers had plummeted. There were a little over 200 people coming over illegally a day. There were less than 600 people in detention. And out of those 1,400 Border Patrol agents that Border Patrol had, over a thousand of them were in the field. That's what we need to get back to. So it's not, and I have got to run here in a second, but I challenge, it's not about throwing more money at the problem. It's about where are those resources going? If you want to have more deportation flights for people that do not qualify for asylum, I'm all in. Right now, there's about 12 flights that happen a week. That needs to be 12 flights a day. If you want to have more immigration judges that are speeding up a case, I'm all in. If you want to help get Border Patrol agents back out in the field, so that way my sheriffs and my local police officers could get back to doing their job, I'm all in. But the blank checks here in Washington are over. We've seen if you just build out soft-sided facilities without having an enforcement piece, once again, a judge to adjudicate a case, then all you're going to do is have this huge magnet that's going to increase me. I'll say one last thing. I literally, I was a few minutes late and I apologize for that. I literally just met with the president of Guatemala. So this hasn't been just getting up there and giving fancy speeches and getting on TV and say, I don't care about any of that. I'm going, how do I just make this problem stop? And Guatemala is part of the solution. I need Guatemala to protect its borders and enforce its policies because they're really our most southern part of the border. Very direct conversations with their president. And right after this, I'm going to go. I'm going to go meet with James Langford, who is a senator in Oklahoma that is leading kind of some discussions on the Senate side. So I'm focused on solutions. No, the rhetoric, that's great. You know, the finger pointing, that's always fun. The easiest thing to do in politics is to blame someone else. But I'm looking, the people in my district have put me here to make this crisis go away. And oh, by the way, I think America has had enough as well.
So that's part of your plan. So give us a brief description of what are you currently doing, what are you planning to do in the following months, and if it's a potential solution to this, if is
There is a
any.
there is a yeah, this will be the last one. There is a solution to it. I sit on the appropriations committee, and so the power of the purse, it lies in the House, and we have to be able to use that power of the purse in order to get the administration to enforce the policies that are on the books. That's as simple as it gets. Things I've asked for is I've asked for deportation flights, increase the number of deportation flights for people that do not qualify for asylum. Get cases heard in days, not years. Surge immigration judges to the border. And oh, by the way, Trump did this. President Trump did this. President Obama did this. President Clinton did this. President Bush did this. It's not a new concept. It's just this president has yet to be willing to do that. I think they're at a point, you mentioned earlier, the polling, it is bled into the mainstream, not only along the border, because they don't care about border communities. It's all throughout America that is saying, you know what? Maybe it's time to give someone else a chance at fixing this thing. Those are all things. I spend a lot of my time and energy. I mentioned today just meeting with the president. I'll travel to Mexico City. I'll visit with the president of Mexico here in the coming weeks. I did that several months ago. I'm trying to go. How do you go straight to the source and have a real conversation? One of the things that I've asked Mexico for is stop giving humanitarian and tourist visas to people knowing damn well aren't coming to tour to visit Mexico City. They're using those visas to legally transit through Mexico, and then they're dumping all that documentation and they're illegally entering our country in the United States. These are the real type of things that are happening, and it takes less of the pleasantries and more of the grunt work. I'm a retired Navy Master Chief, so I'm looking at solutions. I'm looking at running to the fire and doing those type of things. So I've got to run, but thank you for having me on. I can't thank you. I can't thank. I thank your organization enough for what you're accomplishing and pushing to get the conservative message out to all levels. I know we're talking about Congress right now, and oftentimes that's the shiny object that gets a lot of attention on the news media, but it's your local at all levels. We need to have a conservative voice, whether it's school board, whether it's your city council, whether, you name it. So I love your intro on trying to help candidates not only run races, but you can't help if you can't win. It's about winning elections as well. And so thank you again for having me, Andrea and Bobby. You all have a blessed day, and I look forward to coming on again very soon. Okay.
Thank you, Congressman
Thank you
Gonzales.
so
Thanks for
much.
joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
Take care.
so much. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be a soon solution
Right.
or it's gonna take a while, because I feel that everything that is having been done in the past, we're just going like in Espanol we say like cangrejos. We're just going backwards,
Right.
and it's just like I don't know at this point how are we gonna fix this, because every interview that I've been seeing on the illegal immigrants that they've been crossing, they have the concept that they have the idea that the president of the United States, Joe Biden, is telling them, "Come here,
Right.
just
Right.
come here, welcome.
Right.
We're
Exactly.
giving you all the benefits. You don't
That's-
have to do anything.
Yeah.
Just break the law."
Right, just break it. And that's why I wish we had more time with the congressman, because it's a big effort. It's not just Joe Biden as the person relaxing or reversing some of Trump's policies that were very effective, but it's how the NGOs, these non-governmental organizations that are in South America, how they are aiding, and the people that come with that attitude that you talked about are because these organizations tell them, hey, you can
Yeah.
just come in. You can just come in. You don't have to truly seek asylum. Just say this, say you're visiting your uncle, like you said, or you're waiting to see. And so we need real solutions to that. And it's going to be very hard with the slim majority that Republicans have in the House to really get something done. And now they're actually talking about impeachment proceedings against Mayorkas. I'd be interested to see what makes more headway before Election Day, the proceedings against Biden or against Mayorkas, because the border, as we saw from the polling, it's affecting Republicans, Democrats, Independents. People know that there's something bad going on, and we have to change it.
Another thing, Bobby, that I've been seeing, and especially me as an immigrant, I came to this country 25 years ago, and the wave of the immigrants that they were coming back then and before, and
Right.
even after that, and I will say probably before 10 years ago, it was a wave of immigrants that they were coming for the American dream,
Right.
to work and to contribute to this country, to this society, to the communities, to make the better for themselves and to make the better for wherever city they go. What I've been seeing, and I hear so many business owners, this wave of immigrants are completely different. They come here just to get the benefits,
Right.
not to work,
Right.
not to make a better life for them, but just to demand things from this administration, from
Exactly.
this country. Why? Because exactly the same wrong message that they've been getting it from the administration, the current administration, saying like, come here, we're open the border, we open the hands, we open everything for you guys, and we're gonna give you everything.
Right.
So what's happening? They're coming here, they're not looking for a job, they're getting all the benefits, because something that media is not doing a good job is showing these people are in hotels, they're getting free health, they're
That's right.
getting free food, they're getting free everything. So why to work?
Right. Exactly.
Why to work? I mean, I will do the same thing.
Right. If you've got the clothing, the housing, the food, the health insurance, it's all getting paid for. And man, you bring up a really good point, because I've been in Texas since I was 11, and I was born in Chicago, and my little neighborhood there was very ethnic. It was German, Polish, and Czech.
Yeah.
And then you come here, and big Hispanic population. But now in Fort Bend County, as an example, you've got large Indian population, large Pakistani population, and these people, so we understand the cultural impact that different communities have. And but the thing is that back when what we've lost, though, is this sense of being American. And when I was growing up, it was Great American Melting Pot and Colorblind Society, and anyone from any place in the world could come here and become an American. That was the dream, to
Yeah.
become an American, not receive benefits. And
No.
the latest statistics are 60 to 70% of those who come across illegally end up on government assistance. So it's a drag on society. And people that are coming in from other countries, India, Pakistan, and folks that do it the right way, the Democrats try and make this a racial thing, but it's a law thing. And
Yeah.
people, it doesn't matter what race you are. If you come through legally, have at it. Enjoy the American dream.
Absolutely.
Go
It's
for
nothing.
it.
It's nothing racial.
Exactly.
I was yesterday sitting with my daughter, and she's in college. We were going through the FAFSA application, and one of the question it was, have you ever been getting benefits? Like from the government, assistance, food stamps, and things like that. This is new for my daughter.
Right.
She's 18 years old, and I was like, no. And the first thing that I said to her, it was like, I came to this country for a better opportunities to work. And we are hard workers people, because her dad is also an immigrant. We came here to work hard, not to get benefits from this country.
That's right.
To contribute to this country,
That's
because
right.
this is the best country in the world, just to
Exactly.
contribute, not to get benefits from this country. And she said, Mom, I was just asking. I said, well, I'm just
Right.
telling you. I wanted you to have that very clear because you were born here
That's
and
right.
your perspective is completely different than us. So, talking about the shortage of staff that people are suffering, shortage of everything that we're facing right now with this, not only after the pandemic,
Right.
but also with this border crisis.
Right.
Another shortage that we're gonna face is housing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why we invited today to TLC Live our dear friend Leo Vasquez. He is the chair of Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. And thank you, Leo, so much for being with us, for taking the time. I just ran into him the other day, and
Oh,
we've
really?
been we've been friends for so many years since my time of Univision.
Okay.
And we just ran into each other in a new restaurant here in Houston. And I was telling him about the show because he was asking me. I said, you know what, Leo? I need you this Wednesday talking
That's
about
right.
this topic because you got appointed by Governor Abbott in 2020. And I know you're being contributing a lot to the community, to in politics, and in every aspect, way before. So we want your inside of this, Leo. You just heard Congressman Gonzales about the border crisis. And you're being also seen at 101, face to face. What is the crisis also in housing? So, we want your thoughts and your insight.
Well, great. Well, Andrea and Bobby, thanks for having me on again today. And it's a pleasure to follow Congressman Gonzales. He represents the area of Texas where my family came from, down in Dimmitt County. So we can relate to that current everyday status and issue that the congressman is addressing. But I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the ongoing long-term issues and implications that this immigration surge, this immigration problem is going to face. And I'm not sure people are fully addressing and understanding the implications and the magnitude of the issue. Right now, I mean, my background's in economics and you know economist type training, and supply and demand is a big portion of fundamental to almost everything in that area. And right now, we're talking about a difference between millions of people trying to move into thousands, maybe tens of thousands of affordable housing units. And it's just that imbalance. It's just creating a huge problem, digging us deeper into a hole. Even before this, all the national statistics say that there are about over 7 million units of deficit, of shortage of available and affordable housing units, especially for the extremely low income individuals. So, not even piling on the immigration issue, we're already in the United States facing a big problem. I think in Texas, the average also is like 33 units are available per 100 of citizens, residents in need of affordable housing, extremely low income people. In Texas, I believe it's only 28 units available per 100. So if we don't start facing this, we see it right now in kind of the short term looking things. We see New York, Chicago. Bobby was talking about. We're hearing the news articles about even the Democrats, the Democratic leadership of these towns are talking about the immediate short term problem, but it's not over once that happens. Once they figure out where to put them short term, we need to house all these folks on the long term, and it's going to be a big issue, a big problem if we don't start addressing it now. It's been on a bipartisan basis. Republicans and Democrats have been recognizing it, but not necessarily addressing it as much as we need to. And when we're all talking about this housing issue or the immigration issue, let's talk more about where are all these millions of people per year going to be living. We also, it's related to the the schools where these, all these kids are going to be absorbed in schools, the healthcare issues. I mean, and right now you have the immediate issue of down in the valley, there's all sorts of folks having to deal with the drain on the EMT services and emergency room services and everything. These are real tangible issues that it's more than just the number coming across. How are we going to house these people? How are we going to feed these people? How are we going to keep them moving along?
Yeah, Leo, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. So to dive in a little bit deeper, obviously we've got this surge across the border. But when you're talking about the housing crisis, and is it a population driven? Is it economics driven? What's leading to this situation and making it so dire?
Well, you have to break it up into different stratas for when you start talking about housing. In the market rate and luxury housing area, there really isn't a shortage in the United States. When builders build, problem is on the affordable side and even workforce housing side, that those aren't being built. And you have groups like the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. And again, I mean, every major city, the city of Houston, the city of Dallas, Austin, everyone's trying to address that deficit on the affordable side. And that's really, let's face it, that's where the problem is with people coming in now across the border. They're not likely to be living in those upper end housing where we do have pretty much enough, or there's more of an equilibrium in that supply and demand. So haven't even talked about addressing kind of the homelessness issue, which is sort of a different aspect of affordable housing. But when these folks get, moved out of shelters, or the funding for the shelters start shutting down, odds are they're going to have to start, doing what they can, and they're going to be camping and, all those types of things, and really getting that homelessness problem. And again, that ripple effect to healthcare issues and social determinants of health and everything like that. It becomes more and more expensive for the United States, the taxpayers, to help fill that. The philanthropic world does a good job at helping, but again, it's just a drop in the bucket, contrary to what the main problem is.
So, what is going to be the impact on in the state, on the taxpayers, in the long term? I don't know if you guys are already. You just said that you guys haven't talked about any plan putting in place. But what do you think it will be the impact in the long term of interest rates and people looking for? I mean, we already seen not only, because this is it's two things, Leo. We're not only seeing this wave of illegal immigrants crossing the border, but we also seen a wave of people around the country moving to Texas. So it's not just the people that crossing the border. It's also many people moving from states like California, New York, and these blue states moving to Texas. So how do you see this situation?
Right. Well, thankfully, we have such a great economy here in Texas. I mean, I think we're the eighth largest economy in the world if you just took Texas on its own. That means there's jobs, and again, there's regulation that is favorable to business. There's no state personal income taxes. That's that sort of thing that attracts people, to move not only their individual selves but their businesses and such here to Texas. All that's great for the economy. It'll bring in more tax revenue and such, but that also, again, puts this strain on the housing stock that we're looking at. Luckily, I think most of those people coming in they're selling their California house for, however much. I mean, but they can get something much better here in Texas for that same money, or even a lot less money, and put money away in savings and such. It's the construction right now. We could build every affordable housing project on the books that's proposed. If we built all of them, we still wouldn't come anywhere near providing enough affordable housing and workforce housing um, that the demand indicates. And again, I keep emphasizing we're rolling on top of that this additional immigration, and a huge chunk of these people are not necessarily leaving Texas because they're hearing, as you just said, we have opportunity here in Texas. Let's just stay here. It's a great state. Uh, some of the items that we're battling on this construction projects are, again, the interest rate situation is just terrible. I mean, we're at uh, I think I saw like a 40-year high, something, or at least a 20-year high. That I think 2020 2001 was probably the last time we had rates anywhere near this amount. But further than that, we have different supply chain issues in the construction industry. You don't have enough materials. There's electrical components, and for multifamily, you need these big transformers. There's like an 8-month uh, delay on getting those once you order them. I mean, it's crazy that that could happen. The ongoing operation, if you want to have a multifamily apartment complex, the insurance costs are just incredible right now. That over these last is to
I think we had
building more
some
housing,
issues.
and if I can say, the other kind of intangible part, um, we have when you're talking about affordable housing, there's the NIMBY attitude that not in my backyard. I'm fine with affordable housing, just not in my backyard. And then it's even gotten worse lately. There's what's called the banana attitude, which is build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything. And those types of attitudes and everything are a big problem um, with trying to build more housing. And people need to understand that when you talk about affordable housing today, we're not talking about building a 1968 Bronx tenement. I mean, we're talking about building nice, places that are energy efficient and near transportation and everything. So it's really, not your grandfather's affordable housing. It's more modern. Again, we got to get people trying to do everything we can to build that affordable housing, build the workforce housing, and let's continue with the market rate things. So as people get more established in their lives, they can move up, kind of graduate up the ladder there, and open up more housing for the rest of us. But again, it's the numbers are what they are. Again, we're talking about building tens of thousands at a time, whereas we have millions of people coming in. It's just that supply and demand equilibrium is just not there.
Leo, we really appreciate this. We're running out of time. Just really quickly for our audience, I wanted to get um, their understanding of how does, I assume this is a public-private effort that you're trying to move to meet that demand or that need for this housing. Could you explain how that kind of works, or how it's desired to work?
Well, there's different. There are private sector builders that build for-profit affordable housing. It can be done. It's not as easy, but once you get different government programs and different subsidies, the low-income housing tax credits, which again, TDHCA issues on behalf of Texas and the federal government. It works through TDHCA. There's over $900 million a year of value that we issue there, and that's just kind of a layer each year, and that's a layer of financing for the financing stack that builders will use private funds, traditional bank financing, low income housing tax credits, possible grants from, say, the city of Houston housing department, as an example, could be in there. Uh, and then you also have the nonprofit groups that will do that as well, but kind of their equity pretty much comes from the not philanthropic world. So again, it's a, a stack of all of these different types of financings that make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Leo, thank you so much for being with us, and always make yourself available for TLC Live and to inform our community For sure, we're gonna have you again on the program as we're seeing this problem now, you know, escalating for many many months and maybe years in the future.
Nope. Happy to be here anytime. Thank you.
Thanks, Leo. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Leo. Well, Bobby, I mean, it's not gonna be an soon end.
Right.
It has a lot to do. I mean, this year is presidential elections. We're gonna have the primaries in March. Early voting started February 28th,
Hmm.
and the primaries are March 5th.
That's right.
And so it's gonna be a very challenging year in politics, especially with the Republican nomination.
Right, right. It's always exciting, but presidential years in politics are the best. You know, there's a lot going on. People, you know, there's still these other Republican candidates out there, so we'll see who people start picking. Iowa caucus is on Tuesday, so we'll start to see.
Exactly. And if you are interested in getting to the political arena, you have to be very brave,
Mm.
but you have to also be very knowledgeable about it. So that's why we are having a Leadership Latino at the end of January. It's January 26th and 27th. It's going to be here in Houston. And if you want to join us, you want to be part of the class, you want to learn everything about how to run for office, how to participate in a campaign, how to help, how to volunteer, how to blog, walk in everything that has to do with politics and running for an office. Just go to TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. You're going to find on the top, as you're seeing on the website, the link of the click of the Leadership Latino. You're going to find all the information. You need to register. It's not going to cost you anything. It's totally free. And also, we're going to contribute with a hotel and up to $200 on transportation, meaning that if you're traveling in your car, you have to pay for gas. So we're going to pay up to $200. Or if you are traveling, you're flying from any city in Texas, we also going to pay up to $200. So you just bring your receipt and you will give you up to $200 reimbursing you your flight or your gas or whatever is you desire to come to Houston. So again, it's January 26th and 27th. And what we're going to see, Bobby,
That's right.
what people can expect.
Well, we can expect grassroots training. You know, again, for the candidate or the campaign staff, how to go door to door, how to talk to people, how to get your message out, how to look good on camera. You know, with the interviews
Media
and
training.
exactly, and talking, doing real questions and reporter questions, and you'll get to be on camera and answer questions and actually meet other people who are going through the same thing. And I think that's important too, because there's lots of great exchange of ideas and experiences, and hope to see them out there.
And as a Congressman Tony Gonzales said at the beginning of the program, he said presidential elections and a federal government is very important, that we need to keep an eye on that. But it's our local politics what it matters the most to and our daily journal in our families, in our job, in a daily basics, because everything from the local governance will impact our life in a daily basics. So that's why it's important to have representation at any level in the city, in the precinct, in the state, in the county. And that's why we're giving you these tools, this opportunity at no cost for you to be a leader in your community, to make the difference in your community. We need people that run for office. We need people that is very knowledgeable, educated, prepared, and also have the desire to give back to the community. We are living in very difficult times right now. That's why we need real leaders, that they are committed with the community, that they're putting their heart, their effort, and their work. And that's why in Texas Latino Conservatives, we're doing our part, helping you to achieve and accomplish your goals when it comes to run for office. So join us in TexasLatinoConservatives.com. Leadership Latino at the end of January is our first class of 2024. Bobby and I, we're going to be doing our part on the media training. and we're going to have experts in different fields in politics. So please join us. Help us to help, because we cannot do this by ourselves. Also become a member. Give us your contribution. It doesn't matter if it's 5, 10, 15, 20, or $1,000. Anything that you can help us is going to help our cause and help our mission and our vision. So thank you, Bobby.
Thanks.
For make yourself available. I know you're super busy, but you always, part of our family, and you always help us, Texas Latino Conservatives,
Thanks.
also to achieve our goals.
It was great to be here. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys soon. Por ahora, hasta luego. Muchas gracias, y está pendiente de Texas Latino Conservatives y también de Leadership Latino. Nos vemos pronto.